Hey, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of French American Chamber of Commerce in New York, we are happy to welcome you to today's webinar, French Real Estate from the US, Everything You Need to Know. A quick word about us. In FACC, our mission is to provide networks, opportunities, and experiences that empower successful business relationships between and for members in various industries. Today's webinar is brought to you by a company, FACC-NY, featuring Valérie Bienvenue and Sébastien Salin, and they will be our speakers today. The conversation will go on for 40 minutes with room for questions and answers. Please feel free to use the Q&A box here in the bottom of the screen. You can put in your questions at any time, and they will choose when to answer them best, or maybe they will save them for the end. And without further ado, I'll pass the mic to Sébastien.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this real estate conference. I'm delighted to be here with you today. I'm Sébastien Salin, founder of FACC-NY, and with me, we have Valérie Bienvenue, consultant in French real estate investment based in New York. We are delighted to be here online with you today, and a big thank you to FACC of New York for organizing this webinar. So today we are going to talk about real estate, and more specifically, real estate investment in France, the process, financings, and speaking about taxes.
Hello everyone. This presentation will last approximately 45 minutes. Let me introduce FACC-NY. For many years, buying real estate in France from abroad felt complicated, risky, and almost impossible if you weren't living there. And that's exactly why FACC-NY was created. For a decade, we have transformed the way clients across Asia buy French property. In 2025, we opened the US market because this kind of service simply didn't exist here. So what do we actually do? This is very simple. We make buying property in France from abroad simple, secure, and strategic. First, with the property selection and the choice. For our first meeting, we always start with you. We define your budget, your objectives, and your timeline. And then we walk you through what the French market really offers clearly and transparently. And we narrow it down to the option that truly fits your goals. Then, during the second meeting, we present you with a few projects with their financial breakdown and a clear analysis of the asset value and the rental potential. What does it mean? Will it appreciate? Will it rent easily? Why does it make sense financially? Or is it the right lifestyle for you? This part is crucial to have a clear view on what to expect with your project. And the financing for non-residents, and this is interesting. If financing is part of the plan, we will do it for you with our bank partners specialized in expatriates and non-residents. So yes, you can obtain a French mortgage while living abroad. All these actions are full remote coordination. We handle everything. The notary process, the renovations if necessary, furnishing, staging, rental management if needed. You don't have to fly back and forth. We coordinate it remotely with full transparency. And in terms of security, we hold all required French licenses, both as real estate agents and banking intermediaries. So your transaction is regulated and protected from start to finish. And a few important points about us and how we work. First, our guidance is completely free. You're getting our professional guidance. You can explore with us, ask questions, change your mind. You are completely free. There is no binding there. Second, for about 95% of our projects, Our fees are negotiated directly with developers and sellers without impacting your final purchase price. So our services are mostly free. Third, we have a massive access and zero inventory to push, which means we have access to 40,000 projects all over France, new builds, existing properties, off-market projects, and very often with the exclusivity there, urgent opportunities, and more and more. And we have no inventory to push of our own, so no internal stock to sell. We are only driven by finding you the best deal. So you deciding that our selection is the best is how we make our living. And fourth, we are offering a complete tax analysis. Before and after signature at the notary, we provide you with a complete tax analysis and a long-term financial projection. You will have clear view over the next 10 to 20 years, how your project is expected to evolve, how rents may increase over time, lightening your financial efforts, how to anticipate the tax declaration in order to legally avoid taxes as long as possible. We'll also indicate at what point a resale might become strategically relevant. In other words, we're not just buying property. You're entering into a structured long-term plan with visibility and control. Our goal is your goal. Whatever you're looking for, the best investment of your dream home in France or the best investment, our job is to find it, analyze it, secure it, and make the whole process as smooth as possible from wherever you live. Sébastien, you want? No, I can also, before examining the characteristics of new and existing real estate, I want to talk also about the market in France, because the French market has a historical role. For over centuries, real estate has been one of the most stable and resilient investment you can make. On the long term, it always go up, no matter when you enter the market. Property values have constantly increased. Rents follow the same direction. Even if they rise slower than prices, the rent is always upward. And here's the key point. After every crisis, real estate is the first sector to bounce back every single time. Also, the real estate is a barometer of the French economy. You need to know that real estate market is a direct indicator of the country's economy's health. When a government wants to boost economy, this is the very first level it pulls. Why? Because construction and housing are often the first sector targeted by new measures and incentives, even before industry. And the big question is, why not investing in the US compared to France? I would say first, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the same nest. On ne met pas les œufs dans le même panier. When we compare France to the US market, the difference is striking. In New York, it's very tempting because rents are high, but at the same time, rents are incredibly high, which means that if your tenant leaves, the financial risk is huge. You have to have very strong finance possibilities to absorb it. While in France, the monthly payment is far easier to absorb for anything that could happen. And when it comes to financing also, France offers major advantages. We have lower interest rates, we have fixed rates, and a very, very little down payment is required. So it's safer and more predictable structure, especially in uncertain times. Also, the market situation. Today, the French market is very favorable because the rates are down to 3.5 to 4%, and it's been stable for months, while the rental demand is exploding. For instance, in France, we need 600,000 homes per year, and we build barely 300,000. That creates a massive rental tension, and when supply is low, investors win. Scarcity drives value. Sébastien, you want to keep on giving example?
So, thank you, Valerie. And so let's talk about now. We are going to speak about off-plan new project, and because when you invest in France, most of the time you will buy existing flat or an off-plan flat. So let's talk about off-plan first and the advantages to invest in off-plan. So when we speak about off-plan in France, the name is VEFA, VEFA. So that means it's a sale in a future state of completion agreement. In most of the time, the flat or the house will be delivered in a few months or years. Sometimes it will be a few weeks, but this is quite rare. There is advantages to invest in an off-plan project. First, you won't have to be worried about any major renovation for 10 to 20 years. Of course, we are not going to do a renovation of the outdoor building or the roof. Everything is new. Your property benefits for a 10-year structural warranty that covers major risks for more than 10 years. So that means if there is a leakage, there is a problem inside your flat, the insurance will do the renovation. Also, your home will meet the highest acoustic standards. So that means you won't hear anything from outside or from your neighborhood. So that means it's really comfortable for your tenant or if you want to live inside. There is also highest energy efficiency standards. So we are going to speak a little bit more later about the DPE, which is the diagnosis to check the efficiency level of the flat. And in this one, you will be A or B, so the maximum. You will benefit also from reduced notary fees because the notary fees in France for an existing flat is about 8 to 9%. Here, it will be only 2.5 to 3%. So if you buy for a big price, of course, there will be a big difference. And finally, you will have a full or partial exemption from property tax for the 2 years after construction when the construction is completed. Now we are going to look at the point of attention when you buy an off-plan project. So first is the delivery time. I was saying before, it can be a few months or few years. What is really important is to make sure there is not too much delay. And the most important when you buy is to check the building permit. Has it been issued or not? Because if it's not issued, sometime there will be some problem with city mayor or anything that can be compromised, and then the building will never be built. So that's the most important is the building permit. Then after to check by the contractor also. So we speak about the developer to see is it a good developer? He has experience? Is it he has equity? Does he do also quality of material? Does he use quality materials for construction? Because same, you don't want to have a flat new and in 5 or 6 years to have to redo a few like the ties or some wood structure because it's been damaged because the quality is not good. And also what is good for you is to check the feedback. Maybe you can check online from previous buyers. So now for every project, we are going to give you some example, so some real example, and that we have sold recently. So here it's a project, an off-plan project located in Nice. So Nice, it's a nice area to invest and to live also in the south of France. And this is where you have the second biggest airport in France. And here we are in the west side of Nice. So we are not too far from the airport. And we are like 5 minutes walk to the tram station. Will bring you directly to the city center. The good thing about this project is you are a little bit on the upper side of the city, and you can have some sea view from the top floor flat. Also, you have a shared swimming pool. So this is not all the time the same in because most of the time in France you don't have a shared swimming pool, but in this condominium you will have a swimming pool. And the construction has already started and will be finished by mid 2028, so in about 2 years. So this one is the beginning of the project. And so in one of the flats we have selected, it was a 1 bedroom flat of 274,000 euro. There is 43 square meter and a balcony of 12 square meter. The flat is located on the second floor, looking east, and there is one parking included. So for in Nice, you can rent this kind of flat for about 1,000 euro a month. That means the gross yield is approximately 4.4%, which is quite high for a big city, because some cities will be a little bit lower, like Bordeaux, Lyon, will be more about 3.5%, which is quite good here. So now I will let Valérie speak, and this is some visual of the project.
Thank you, Sébastien. So that was the new build, and now I'm going to talk to you about old properties, because old properties also have advantages and points we need to consider. So the advantage of buying old properties in France can be extremely attractive, and most of the projects are this way because you have a very wide choice in terms of size and price. The location also is much better. You can more easily find older homes in big cities close to public transportations, schools, shops, everything. The charm, of course, because for some people, moldings, solid wood floor, and fireplaces are key features, and I understand. And older properties will therefore be a deciding factor for them. And the price, because prices for older properties can be slightly lower than for new builds, especially for those with poor energy rating. And we'll discuss about it later. It's interesting. For the return on investment, if return on investment is your primary criterion, older properties offer some attractive options. So l'ancien, as we said, old, has more choice, better central locations, architectural character, potential price advantage, and attractive returns. Only, and this is important, it must be approached strategically, because opportunity and vigilance go hand in hand in this segment. And this is very important to listen to that. First, we're talking about renovations. Older properties may require significant renovations or upgrades. Insulation and compliance work can sometimes take 6 to 12 months. You also need to be careful when choosing contractors. In France, it's increasingly difficult to find skilled tradespeople, or even more so to find qualified ones. And this can jeopardize your entire project, potentially leading to delays, shoddy workmanships, and ever-increasing costs. This is okay to buy old properties. Just at Acheter pour Louer, we have selected, as Sébastien was telling you, trusted partners that will guarantee the craftsmanship with 10 years warranty and the delays. They will cover the rent in terms of delay if the project is delayed, because they know they will start and finish on time. And then there is the point of the condominiums also. In France, you have 15%, just like in New York, of co-owned buildings which are financially fragile. And when a condominium has financial difficulties, well, common areas stop being maintained, and that affects long-term values. So what we do, we always analyze buildings' financial health before recommending an acquisition. And then there is the notary fees. Notary fees are higher for older properties than new builds, even on some regions, higher than what I will tell you. As Sebastian was saying, for an old build, we had 7.5% to 9%, while in a new build, you have 2.5 to 3%. Just so you know, turnkey renovated older properties also allow for reduced notary fees on transactions, where they are only applied on the property itself, excluding the renovation work. This is also another way to reduce the notary fees. Sébastien, we mentioned the DP, or you want to talk? Oh, I wanted to speak, sorry. I wanted to talk about performance. How do we calculate a performance for a project? And what does it mean? We call it gross yield. The gross yield is very simple. You take the 12-month incomes and you divide it by the property value. This is what we call the performance, the gross yield. Also, it exists a net yield, which makes more sense. The net yield is the 12 months of incomes to which we deduct all the costs during the year, and then you divide it again by the property prices. So the net yield is obviously lower, but it's clarified because most investors today, they rely on gross yields and leave you guessing what the real financial effort is. Just like the price when it's $5.99. We know the trick, and yet we get influenced. So at Acheter pour Louer, we look at the net yield and the true value return after all expenses. We're talking about electricity, taxes, internet, accountant, all the costs that will occur during the rental of your apartment. And that's the only number that reflects real performance. And every investor's dilemma today is to find a high return and a significant property appreciation. It's very rare that you have both. In high appreciation areas, often offers a more moderate rental yield. So this is something that we will have to talk with you when we present you our projects. And this is something we are considering when we are selecting projects for you. Sébastien, maybe now we need to talk about the DPE.
Yes, so let's talk about the diagnosis we do in France for properties, the DPE or Energy Performance Assessment. So I guess you already seen this graph with a green to a red line. So and from A to G. This diagnosis is a mandatory and important element to consider when buying, selling, or renting a property. So it's a tool that assesses the energy performance of an apartment, a house, a building, and once it's assessed, a property is assigned an energy rating, which allow it to be classified. So A letter rating indicate extremely energy efficiency housing, and G is the opposite, is an extremely energy inefficient housing. So the three last letters, E, F, and G, rating are considered energy thieves. This new DPE system was implemented in 2019 following the Climate and Resilience Law. So the primary objective of this law is to gradually reduce the density of housing considered energy inefficient in France. Indeed, in 2030, so in about 4 years, France aimed to reduce its greenhouse gas emission by 55% compared to the 90s level. This aligned with European objective of becoming the first carbon neutral continent by 2050.
Thank you,
So I will,
Sébastien.
Valérie, maybe you can speak about the deadline in France.
Yes, thank you, Sébastien, because right now in France, as you heard, the DPE is a constraint. And for us, well, it's a leverage. Since 2021, the DPE is legally binding, which means you are legally reliable. And if the rating is wrong, the owner is liable, legally reliable. And the rules are tightening. So since 2021, rents on F and G rated properties cannot be increased. Since 25, so it started already, the G rated properties can no longer be rented. By 2028, this is the F rated property that will be banned. And in 34, E rated properties will follow. So what does this create? Well, it creates pressure. And pressure creates opportunities. So today, a G-rated property can sell for up to 20% less than a D-rated property. Not because of the location, not because of the demand, but purely because of the energy classification. And that's where we step in. The strategy is to identify undervaluated properties impacted by this regulation, negotiate strongly, and reposition them. We work with partners who handle the sourcing, the feasibility study, and most important, the renovation work directly. So the costs are controlled, the timelines are controlled, and the execution is controlled. We reposition the assets, we upgrade the DPE, and we unlock the value. And for this, I will give you an example because opportunities that combine strong rental yield and significant appreciation potential are rare. And this is one of our projects, one of them. In Gaillard, this is a quiet, highly sought after area right next to the Swiss border. We'll talk about the Swiss border. This is a prime location. This is immediate proximity to the tram. The tram drives you in 30 minutes in the heart of Geneva. The market square, the shops, this is a strong cross-border rental demand. This is a bright apartment, 42.77 square meter, a one-bedroom apartment. We have optimized layouts. It's delivered, turnkey delivered, fully renovated with fitted kitchen. The entire building is undergoing renovation. So here is what makes it even more compelling. The net yield is up to 8%. And we have a positive cash flow when financed with a mortgage. This is one of our projects that has been sold already, and we have others. So we're not just talking about capital appreciation. We're talking about immediate performance plus long-term value creation. And this is how we turn regulation into strategy. Sébastien, I think you want to talk about, well, you have the pictures of the project here.
Yeah, thank you, Valérie. And let's talk about tax. So I saw there is some question. Some we are going to reply maybe a little bit later, and we can answer some now also. So let's talk about tax, because when you want to invest in France, it's really important to understand how does it work as a non-French resident, and especially living outside of the European Union, like the US. So when you earn an income in France from zero, so if, from the first euro to 29,373, you will be taxed at 20%, and over that number, you will be taxed at 30%. Then you have to add the Social Security contribution, CSG, CRDS, and this fund are used for the for the Social Security organization, such as Social Security, even though they do not entitle you to Social Security coverage. And you must pay this contribution, which are set at 17.2%. So that means the total tax rate is 32.2 or 47.2%, which is which can be quite high. So the question is how to optimize your rental tax in France. There are many options, but let's focus on income from furnished rental. There is, in this category, when you are in furnished, you can categorize as industrial and commercial profit, BIC, rather than property income. This classification allow you to choose between two highly advantageous tax regimes. The first one is a micro-BIC regime. This is a simplified option. You receive a flat rate deduction of 50% on your rental income, compared to only 30% on unfinished rental. So, for example, if you have 10,000 euro of rental revenue per year, you are only taxed on the 5,000. That means with a 37.2%, you will have a tax of 1,860. There is a question about Airbnb as short-term rental. Maybe we can reply a little bit later, but about this specific micro-BIC regime for Airbnb, this allowance is only 30%. So you can only reduce to 30% instead of 50% when you are on Airbnb on the micro-BIC regime. What is really important to understand is the second option. So the LMNP, LMP. So this is the most case of our clients are using, and is allow you for full expense deduction and non-cash depreciation, amortization. So first, you can deduct the expenses, so the co-ownership fees, the acquisition cost, agency fees, renovation, and mortgage interest. And then you have the depreciation. You can amortize the value of the furniture. So typically for furniture is about 7 years. And the property itself, excluding the land, so approximately 80%, 85% of the value, and for over 20 to 30 years. So if we take an example, for example, the 10,000 euro I was saying just before, and you have operation expenses with co-ownership fees, acquisition cost, agency fees, renovation, and mortgage interest. And for example, this amount is 4,000. So 10,000 minus 4,000, you still have 6,000. And then you will add the annual depreciation. So, for example, let's say the property is about 200,000 euro. You can depreciate it for example, 20 years. So that means 200 divided by 20 years. That means 10,000 euro per year. And then you have a furniture. So let's say the furniture is 7,000, and so you can do a depreciation over 7 years. That means 1,000 euro per year. So on the example, you have 10,000 minus 4,000 of operation expenses, minus 1,000 of the furniture, and minus 10,000 of the property depreciation. That means you will be in deficit of 5,000. And this deficit can be carried forward to offset future profits. So what we can see here is most of the time in existing property with a high yield, you won't pay any taxes for about 10 years or sometimes more. And for new builds, you will have sometimes 15, 20 years or sometimes more with no taxation. And just because we speak about tax, there is a question about are there tax advantages to holding property through a company or personal structure? When we speak about structure, company, for example, I would say this is not the goal, is not about taxes. 99% of our clients invest through personal structure and not through company, because the company is the goal is mostly for when you have kids and when you want to give in the future, do donation of some asset in the future. So this is the most common things to buy a property through company, or when you buy with other people like friends to buy. Most of the time you have better advantages, tax advantages to buy with personal structure using the LMNP strategy rather than to buy with a company where sometimes you can have higher taxes. And especially also when you live in the US. So I will.
Thank you, Sébastien. There is another question about Airbnb and how the regulation is affecting Airbnb. So we have ways to address the Airbnb restrictions, and we will talk about it over the phone with you. Or maybe, Sébastien, you want to talk about it right now. But for instance, there are a few ways, and one of it, especially in big cities, is a new rental strategy, which is slightly different than Airbnb, much stable and very profitable. We call it the midterm renting. It's not well known and it's very efficient. It's a very interesting strategy. So traditionally, when people think about rental property in France, they think about long-term leases, typically 3 years, or Airbnb, very short-term. And with rent control in place in big cities like Paris, that model works, but it limits flexibility and upside. And for the Airbnb, it doesn't work with difficulty. There is another legal framework called the mobility lease. It allows rental from 1 to 8 months, 1 month minimum, 8 months maximum. And it's specifically designed for professionals on fixed-term contracts, employees in training, corporate relocations, or companies that provide temporary housing for their employees in major cities. And in the case of Paris, you also have the Fashion Week, which is a big hit. And here is the key point. Mobility leases are not subject to traditional rent control. Now, why does this work particularly well in cities like Paris? Actually, because rental tension is at its maximum, as we know. In all major cities, and especially in Paris, supply is extremely limited and the demand really high. So within that demand, high quality midterm rental opportunities are rare. So international professionals, corporate mobility, consulting mission, executive program, diplomatic assignments, the demand for high quality furnished, centrally located midterm rentals is extremely strong. I will give you a very concrete example of one of our projects that we had recently. Paris, 11th arrondissement, overlooking Place de la Bastille, an exceptional 89 square meter house in style apartment, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, moldings, Hungarian parquet flooring, and period fireplace. This is a true Parisian asset. The negotiated purchase price is €1,130,000. Under traditional rent control in Paris, the rent would be capped at €2,930 per month. With a midterm rental strategy, the average rental value is around €7,000 per month. If we remain conservative and we calculate a performance with a pessimistic occupancy rate of only 70%, which is only 70% of the time it will be rented, even under that assumption, the gross yield reaches approximately 7.4% in the central of Paris, which is exceptional. This is not short-term tourism volatility. This is not Airbnb. This is a structured professional demand in a market where the rental pressure is already at record levels. And you also have the flexibility to go back to regular rentals if this is something that fits you better. There is another point with this option, which is the flexibility, because leases are between, again, I say 1 month and 8 months. The owner can maintain certain periods available, especially in summertime, for personal use or strategic repositioning. So this model of strategy combines a strong rental income, a legal optimization, a conservative assumptions, high demand urban market, and a usage flexibility. It's a way to generate yield in one of the most regulated real estate markets in the world without compromising on asset quality. So you still have the best option at hand for you. And it works. Sébastien, you want to give another example, maybe?
Yeah, yes, I will give some other example, but just before going to the other example, because we speak about Airbnb, and to answer also the question, how are regulation affecting Airbnb and short-term rental? So it's true, there is many cities where it's more and more difficult to be able to rent on short-term rental. This possibility of mobility lease, just be careful because it's possible to do it in Paris or some, I would say, few other cities. So it's not possible to do it like in Bordeaux, Lyon. So even if it's a big city, so just have this in mind. Also, is when some cities is still possible to do it. And when there is the option to do it, we all the time also give to our clients the option, and they have the second option to have in case there is a restriction in the future, the rental value for long-term rental, because Airbnb can be stopped also in the city where you want to invest. So just have this in mind. It's possible to have changes, and nowadays having only short-term rental strategy can be dangerous. Except also if you have buy a flat that have a commercial use, that's quite specific. That's something we have sometimes, but it's quite rare. So now let's talk about other option to invest. It's what we say, it's when you buy a full building. And so some clients like to buy a full building where you have several apartments, maybe 2, 3, 4, 10 flats in it, and then you own the whole building. So you own both the private and common area of the building, and that brings many advantages. First, you have regular income and diversification. The rents are collected from tenants and ensure a steady cash flow, contributing to financial stability. If one of the properties is temporarily vacant due to change of a tenant, for example, you will still have the other rented properties. You will do some economy of scales. A single real estate purchase reduces agency fees and allow you to pool management and maintenance costs. You will have also advantageous price by square meter, but in France, the bigger you buy, the cheaper it is by square meter. Also, you will have an attractive return most of the time compared to smaller real estate investments. An investment property can generate a higher return on investment. It is with this type of investment that you can seek high return. So we have an example here in Rouen, and we are going to speak about short-term rental. So Rouen is a city in the north west of France, so located in Normandy, is the capital of Normandy, and this is and the city is located about a little bit more than an hour by train to Paris. So you have the high-speed train. It's a city where you have more than 120,000 people. It's a dynamic city with also you have the Seine River. We start from there to go to Paris. So it's where all the boats load and unload the goods to go to Paris. It's a city where you have numerous universities and prestigious higher education institution. It's a tourist destination also, really nice city to visit. If you don't know, you can go one day. It's really nice. And in this example, it's a client who bought this building with 4 flats. It's located 5 minutes walk to the train station, and it's a high-end area, and also 5 minutes walk to tourist attraction. And there is a few higher education institution. So this building is 145 square meter and includes 4 one-bedroom apartments. The purchase price was 375,000. Renovation and furnishing was 164,000. The short-term rental value was more than 5,000 euro a month. And so the gross yield is 10%. So the client decided to do a short-term rental, but if you wanted to do a long-term rental, I think it was about 2,000, a little more than 2,000 euro a month. So a little bit less, but of course, after all the fees are much less.
Thank you, Sébastien. So I will introduce you to another project, totally different, and then we'll talk about another strategy possible. Here is Annemasse. Annemasse is right next to Geneva, just like the other projects. It's a very attractive cross-border area. Again, this area is very profitable. And because we have a high rental demand and 25% increase in property prices over the past 10 years only. 25% in France is very special. This is not speculation. This is a structurally strong market. Now the property, right in the city center, the building has already been renovated. Facade and common areas are done, so no major work ahead. 2 fully renovated studios on the 5th and the top floor with elevator, balcony with open view on the mountains. High-end renovation. Ready to rent immediately. Purchase price, 320,000, including a large garage of the value of 20,000. Here is a technical advantage many investors overlook. The notary fees apply only to the land portion, which is now a value of 210,000 euros, and it reduces the total notary costs from 24,000 euros for a comparable project to 16,800 euros. That's immediate optimization. And now, if we talk performance, we have two flexible rental strategies, as we mentioned, the classic long-term rental with a net return, which is around, with a long-term rental, a net return 6.84%. This is a net yield for a monthly rate of 2,000 euro per month. And with a mid-term rental, which is 1 to 8 months rental, we have a net return around 8.27% with a month of 2,400 per month with a rate. So this is the same property, and you have two possible strategies. We walk through both strategies, and you can change at any time. There is a strong demand. This is the growing area. So whether your priority is stable income or stronger yield, this kind of opportunity gives you both options. This is the type of projects we can offer. Sébastien, you have another investment solution also to introduce.
So let's finish with the other investment solution. So there is alternative solution depending on your objective. So the following solution are often offered for new properties, but also available for secondary market. So first, we are going to speak quickly about serviced residence. There is a 6 type of service residences: senior, tourism, business, student, or dependent elderly people, EHPAD. And also there is a mix tourist and students. The advantages are you will sign a commercial lease with the operator for a minimum term of 9 years, which provides for the payment of regular and continuous rent. If there is a tenant or not is not your problem. You will have your income. The operator is responsible for rental management and the payment of rent and charges. You will have no management worries. The lease also clearly sets out the distribution of charges between the owner and the operator. In most of the residences, the maintenance of the property, furniture, and common area is handled by the manager. Sometimes they will pay also the fees and all the fees, expenses that you are supposed to pay as an owner, including the property taxes. Lastly, investing in service residences offer a significant tax advantages. You can recover the VAT of the property purchase, furnishing, and professional fees, such as accounting. For off-plan projects where VAT is typically 20%, this represents substantial saving. For instance, a property of 120 euros, you will the net cost will only be around 100,000 euro. That means there is approximately 20,000 euro. While you typically advance the VAT and receive a full refund 6 to 9 months after the completion. Some developers offer to cover this advance on your behalf. And I will let Valérie finish.
Thank you. We'll talk before we finish, because it's the end. I will show you something very different. This is the bare ownership. This is a niche market. In France, we have 900,000 traditional real estate transactions every year. And with this strategy, we have only 2,000 transactions a year. It's rare, and because it's rare, it's interesting. You purchase a property at 30 to 40% discount right now. Why? Because in exchange, you transfer the right of use for 10 to 20 years to what we call a usufructuary, typically a socially oriented company. So during that period, they manage the rental, they collect the income, they handle the maintenance, and they are due to do it, and you receive no rent. And also, you pay no charge, no management, no additional taxes linked to the rental income. Zero operational stress. You just invested at 30 to 40% less than the market value. And it's purely patrimonial strategy, because at the end of the period, fixed, something very powerful happens. The user fruit automatically expires and you become the full owner. There is no additional payment. At that point, you can live in your property, sell it, rent it, and start generating income. This type of projects exist all over in France. We have it with sea view apartments, beautiful neighborhoods in Paris, strong long-term location. It's a very different way of thinking about real estates. So there is many other investment structures we haven't covered today. So commercial real estates, SCPI, Loi Malraux, Historic Monuments Program. We'd be happy to discuss those privately if that's of interest. You have a QR code with my number. You call me and we will set up an appointment or discuss. I can answer the few questions because ultimately the strategy depends on you, your timeline, your objectives, and your vision. Real estate in France is not just about buying a property, it's about choosing the right strategy at the right time. And our role is simply to help you make that decision with clarity, confidence, and control. This is free, and we are here to answer your questions. Sébastien, if you have anything to add.
Yes, let me answer the question. What financing options are
Yes.
realistically available to non-residents? This is a good question. So the banks we work with in France, you can borrow most of the time, sometime 90 to 100%. The one with 90%, so that means you have 10% down payment, will ask you so the 10%, plus most of the time to put approximately 15%, 10 to 15% of the borrowed amount into saving or investment account, depending on the bank. But most of the time is not blocked. Some bank you can borrow 100%, but they will ask like, let's say 30% to be blocked into an account in investments. So depending on banks, but because I know some banks in will ask for more like 40, 50%, but we have option with even only 10% down payment and 10 to 50% investment.
Yes. Thank you.
I don't know if there is more question.
I think we answered all the questions and we brushed everything right now for whatever is necessary to say. And again, please feel free to call me at any time. I'm in New York, so I'm with the New York timeline, and then I'll be happy to answer your questions or take an appointment with you.
Thank you very much for this insightful exchange. We thank you for our speakers, Valerie and Sebastian. This was a very interesting webinar. We will be sharing the recording in the newsletter. And also, if anyone is interested in joining FACC, please reach out to us on the following email, membership@faccnyc.org. And also visit our website and check our upcoming events. Thank you, everybody, and have a great afternoon.
Goodbye.
Thank you.